Okay, so some have seen on the internet what I'm doing at BMW headquarters, showing trees in these big halls with lots of cars, and in between the cars is this exhibit. Jim has seen it 2 or 3 days ago, and that is interesting for bonsai insofar as this is an ongoing art exhibit in the BMW world. So they, since years, show sculptures, paintings, what have you. And for some reason, the lady responsible for this art exhibit found out about me. There was a movie on German television and she saw 10 seconds, really 10 seconds. And in these 10 seconds, she decided that she has to meet me. She met me. And she asked me to do an art exhibit. She said to avoid the word bonsai because what I'm doing is art and not really bonsai. That shows you what sort of image bonsai has in the outside world, which is bad, not good, but it's well deserved. Okay, and anyway, it is an art exhibit. And since they do the art exhibit there, they know very well how to show objects of art, okay? And I wasn't even really asked how I would do it. They told me that they would build these pillars with acrylic glass, cost a lot of money, but being very neat and nice, and then just on these pillars show these sculptures. This is the way sculptures would be shown, and then you have top lights. And then I said, okay, well, but you know, these trees have the habit to attract people who want to touch them. And they always want to break a little branch to see whether this is for real or not. And so we must build a fence like in a zoo. You go close to the animals, but there is a glass fence. So for a lot of money, they built this glass fence around, and now this is that. So I think everybody who has seen it really, and as you can see from the photographs, can tell that this looks interesting. Maybe for some it's great, for some, but for some it seems again the end of the world because this is not traditional showing. So what's wrong with that? I think it's perfectly okay, and they should, by the way, know how to present art. I mean, who are we, bonsai people, trying to tell expert, professional artists, professional gallerists how to show art? You see, they know that. Okay, one thing happened there which I personally have a problem with, that just showing the trees was not enough. They had to put spotlights on them, and just putting on a white spotlight wasn't good enough. They started with red and green and blue, and I really thought this is not the way I want my trees to look like. Well, but you have to live with that because you are handing your trees and you are out of that game, so you don't have much of a say anymore as soon as this art is shown by art exhibitors. Now that taught me a lesson that apparently as soon as the minute that bonsai gets out of our hand into something happens there, and maybe something to the worse, but something to the better. Anyway, this gets a lot of exposure. I then had this company make me smaller of the pillars, much smaller, for a Shohin exhibit, which we were going to see in a week. And I showed this on the net. I think the overwhelming majority thought that this was at least good or interesting, and some thought that was very good. But there's still the minority who says, well, Walter, do you know what a bonsai exhibit is for? Why are you destroying this? Like there is no scroll, there is no accent plant, there is no table, there is no wabi-sabi feeling, there is no feeling for the season. This is all what we learned, and bonsai is not for per se. Bonsai is for to be exhibited in a traditional way, and you are throwing this away and putting this crap in front of us. So I got this reaction there, but much less than with these Polish pots. So whenever somebody saw this BMW exhibit, they would say, this is great. Not necessarily that from now on we have to exhibit bonsai like that, but at least it's accepted by and large, and it doesn't take a genius to say that, well, you need a pillar and put a tree on top. Okay, and if it's an object of art, would in a sculpture, if you have a sculpture, okay, and put it on a pillar, would it necessarily have a little flower next to it? Or a Japanese or Chinese table? No. I mean, this is just from our tradition, yeah. But the time has come to question that sometimes. That doesn't mean that I, for example, would not have a lot of tables and still show trees in the traditional way. For example, in a big exhibit, everybody brings their tables and accent plants and some scrolls. You just cannot put in there a modern pillar and ruin the whole exhibit. I mean, you must fit into the room. So I do both, and that is something that must be expressed clearly. We are not trying, or I'm not trying to change the world radically and say from now on that's the only way to exhibit trees. Or everybody has to do naturalistic style. Some people mistake me for that. They think that's what I'm doing. No, it's confused with the religion. Like, you can either be Jewish or you can be Catholic. Or politics. You can be either right-wing or left-wing, but normally not both. So they think you're either a traditionalist or a naturalist. Or you're an honest bonsai person, or you're a lunatic like Walter Pall. But I think, thanks God, the truth is that you can be both. Look at my collection. I have something for everybody. And I have more traditional trees than I have naturalistic trees. You can actually in bonsai do both. You can do whatever the tree likes and how you feel on this morning.